you're an extremely interesting man, and you have a lot of cool things going on, lots of different businesses going on. And we've worked together for quite some time, or we've worked together for
Yeah,
did
we've
some stuff
been a
together.
year. Yeah, it's been over a year actually.
Yeah, it's been a year, been some time, but yeah. Well, I mean, what's going on with you right now? Like, what's going on in life? What's like something recent that's you've been really kind of like passionate about that you've been working on?
Well, I recently started another YouTube channel called The Strings of Life, and it's aimed at the 60 plus crowd of people, just to teach them that you life doesn't end when you hit 60. That actually you can be active, you can do fun things, you can do all the things that young people think you can't do when you hit 60. You can still do it. I'm encouraging them to like pick up hobbies like playing the guitar, playing chess for their brain, just different things that they're always told, "Oh, you're too old for that. You can't teach an old dog new tricks," that kind of thing. It it's something I've been encouraging, and it's been going quite well. I mean, I think in a month I'm almost at 1,000 subscribers, getting a lot of activity on the videos, like comments and that sort of thing. So people are interested, and so it's been kind of a fun thing. It's just another thing added to my plate, though. But I love creating content and recording videos. It's a lot of fun, and just the editing process alone has been kind of a blast to do, because versus like my Vegas videos where I have a million clips that I have to put together, these generally result in like a one single video of me talking and then a bunch of B-roll that I've taken, somewhere. So it's really easy to edit. It's kind of fun to edit, and um low pain issues with it. But it's
Mm.
been a good time. We're having fun. And I mean, that's really, everybody tells you, if you're gonna do something for money, make sure you enjoy it. And they're right. It's been a fun experience, and it actually is now paying for itself. So that's really huge. Um, yeah, so
Pro.
that's pretty much the most recent update. And that started mid-January. So I mean, we're only talking a monthish time frame. So
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm really glad you bring that up. So man, I love LinkedIn. We connected on LinkedIn, and I've been going hard on it for a few years. But you know what? I've really been kind of tired and over LinkedIn very recently, actually. And I've been doing a lot more research on YouTube. Not necessarily, yeah, research on YouTube, but just like thinking so much more about how I can build a channel and how I can create great content. Like I love that it's more longer form, and it's not like, because I see all of these videos, they get millions and millions of views, and it's people teaching people how to do stuff. And it's 10 to 15 minute videos, and it's not like you have to have a ton of crazy editing and a lot of like b-roll. Like people, some legit channels have that, but a lot of them are just creators and they're just talking and it's teaching. And it's like, man, I really want to do more of that, because shorts are fine, but you can't really teach much in shorts. You got all this competition with like with text posts and like and I don't know, just a bunch of bullshit on LinkedIn. I'm so tired of having to comment on people's posts just so that I can get some engagement back, just so that it still leads nowhere. Like I definitely don't feel like I haven't wasted my time on LinkedIn. Like I've had most of my clients have come from LinkedIn, and I love it for that. And I love Sales Navigator, but I just feel like with content, it's just a waste. It's almost like a waste of time, unless you want to spend 5 hours a day engaging on people's posts and like say all these fake comments like that. I don't even really care about what their shit is, and I'm just commenting on it. Maybe that sounds bad, but that's kind of the reality for me. Like I don't want to spend my time commenting on people's posts all day, that I just to get that engagement, to get people to see my stuff. I want to create content based on merit. Like if it's good, and if I have a great hook and a great thumbnail and I have great content, people see it. So, Mr. Mike Mahony, you just created a channel, you got to 1,000 followers. Like that's no easy thing to
it
do. Like that's pretty
it
amazing.
shocked it shocked me actually.
Can you give us some stuff? Can you give us some tips here?
But I'll tell you something, one of the things you said is interesting, because yeah, LinkedIn, I've kind of had the same kind of feeling of late about LinkedIn, that like like for instance, Toria, my wife, she's been using similar approach to what you taught me to reach out for virtual assistant clients. And more often than not, people try to turn it around on her. And so she'll send her first message and then they'll reply back, "Hey, you want to get on a call where I can show you?" Well, hold on a second. That's what I just asked you. And it's been kind of like fencing,
Yeah,
jab,
verbal jujitsu,
jab,
they
and like
call
they're
it.
jousting
Yeah,
back and forth.
yeah,
But the other problem that I see, like, I love that LinkedIn has added like a videos area where people's videos show up and you can like browse through it just like TikTok or YouTube Shorts. But with YouTube, your content, you got two types of content there. You got trend content, so what's going on today. That content's not going to live forever. It's going to it's going to have its hit and then it's going to die. Then you have your evergreen content, like you were talking about teaching people things, and you optimize the videos for SEO, and you're not going to see 100,000 views on that video in the first 6 months, but you will over time. And that's what I'm finding really interesting about the new channel is like there's a gentleman. Before I started this, I did a bunch of research because, as you're aware, I've been going through YouTube coaching for the last year. And one of the things they tell you is to start with the end in mind. So they tell you to figure out what is your ultimate goal for these videos and then look around and see what your competition is doing. Well, there's this guy, he has over 4 million subscribers. He sits on his porch somewhere out in the middle of Montana somewhere. It's like a ranch behind him, and he smokes a cigar and he gives wisdom. He just spews wisdom for like 20 minutes. It's not even edited. You literally see him like hit the button to start the camera and hit the button to stop the camera, and he just puts it out. And the guy's got 4 million subscribers. He gets hundreds of thousands of views on the videos. Point being, you're right. It's such a low barrier to entry. People are looking for quality, but the quality they're looking for is in what you teach, not necessarily the video production value itself. And what's interesting is the more you do it, the more your production value increases. So it ends up being something you shouldn't even worry about. Just it'll happen by osmosis. But to think that a guy can sit and smoke a cigar for 20 minutes and just talk about life and people are
yeah,
eating it up, it's just crazy to me. But then I'm seeing the same thing because I put out a video about why I was doing the channel. That video got over 1,000 views and it was my first video. I don't understand, like um I've been working at the Vegas channel for almost 2 years, and we're lucky if we get videos that hit 1,000, 2,000 views over weeks. This happened in 1 week. And I think it taught me something. It taught me that people are hungry for wisdom and knowledge from a different perspective. You can, I know what it is that you teach. And there's, unfortunately, there's hundreds of thousands of people out there that teach the same thing. But your approach is your approach and it's unique. And if you can make that come across in the video, you're going to be hugely successful because people there's people out there that are your client, and then there's people out there that are looking for what you do, but they're not necessarily your client. And what's going to help separate that is your content. So put out, my biggest tip is just to, like they said, start with the end in mind. What is your purpose behind putting out this content? Because that will drive all the rest of your content. And there's nothing wrong with once in a while veering off and doing something for fun just because it's what you wanted to do. Maybe you went to someplace new that you've never been before and you want to put out a video about it. Go ahead. It might not necessarily exactly fit your niche, but that you can figure, you're smart. You can figure out a way to make it fit your niche. Um it's like, I've been one of the things I've had to do now because of a lifestyle channel is like we went to a concert last night and I had to take footage of the concert because then when I talk about, yeah, 60 years old, you can still go to rock concerts. It's okay. I have footage of me at a rock concert. You have to start thinking of those things ahead of time. So it starts to become a full-time job, but it's worth it. The payoff in the end is that you're helping other people. And I know for you, I know that's a goal of yours and it's definitely a goal of mine. We want to help other people and they're hungry for that that kind of content. And I think you'll be able to teach a lot more authentically via longer form videos. Of course, now you can do shorts that are 3 minutes long, but even that, probably what you would do is, here's the 5 things that I say to do in order to, find a prospect on LinkedIn. And then you'd break those into three different videos, or 5 different videos of 3 minutes of length. It's There's so much you can do now, but just focusing on shorts. I mean, I just had a conversation with somebody on LinkedIn yesterday who said, can you believe this? If you get the first 2 seconds of the video right, people will always watch the whole video. And I said, I don't believe that. I've watched it happen. You get the perfect 2 minutes, and then 2 seconds, and then people are like, "Boo!" and they just turn it off because it wasn't what they expected. So avoid the
Yeah.
absolutes too. Nobody has the actual success formula, because if they did, everyone would be Mr. Beast.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so, did I bring up when we were talking that I was watching something about Mr. Beast today? Did I
No,
say that to you at all?
no,
Yeah. Okay. So I was just watching this interview that he did, and I've watched a few interviews, with him, 4 or 5, whatever. And today I was watching him with, I think his name is Steven something, but he does Diary of a CEO. And
yeah,
yeah, so Mr. Beast, Jimmy Paulson. I don't know if it's Paulson. I know his first name's Jimmy. So anyway, yeah, I don't really know where I was going with that, but as far as the YouTube thing goes, I'm thinking, what do I actually where do I actually spend my time, and where do I actually consume content that I really love? It's 100% YouTube. I'm never on LinkedIn because I just love the content there. But when I every day at lunch, I'm putting up a YouTube video and I'm listening for something 10, 15 minutes long, or I put on an hour long podcast, and maybe I only listen to a quarter of it, maybe a half hour of it, whatever. I find and I've got 10 or 15 of them that'll kind of cycle through, or I've got to learn something. And then you binge watch YouTube videos to go learn something. You find
yep,
somebody's channel that's really good and you watch a lot of these videos. It doesn't matter that they're 10, 15 minutes. It's not all about short content. It's not all about short text posts. It's about format and environment, and how can you just be so valuable that somebody doesn't need to go somewhere else. With a short, it's it better be fucking good. You better have those 2 seconds, and it better be good, or else you have no chance. But yeah,
yeah,
you still have to have the rest, and then you need to still put out content consistently. But yeah, I love this idea of the YouTube format, this ability that you can go deeper and be authentic with what you're sharing. I want to ask more about your channel too, because one thing that I did realize is, so I've been using YouTube a lot the past couple weeks for lead generation. So something that I do is I help people, businesses, but a lot of people that have personal brands that have audiences, but don't quite know how to monetize it. How do you get all these people that are following you to buy your stuff or engage with you? And it's so I'm oh, YouTube, that's a perfect place. I'll go find find a channel. They have a lot of followers, see what they've got. A lot of people have sales pages, landing pages. So I'm talking to a lot of, been talking to some business coaches, executive coaches, communication coaches, because that's what I'm interested in. But I am realizing that YouTube, even it is smaller than I thought. There are a lot of these creators. I'm oh, this will be a perfect page. They've only got, 250,000 followers or something, which is a lot. But I'm oh, but I don't really know them. And they're coming up again and again. So there are so many channels, and people are creating new channels every day. I wonder how people are able to find the small channels. One thing I did notice is that I do occasionally see, maybe every 15 recommended videos, I'll see one that's got 100 views or has 1K views, 2K views. And I really love that YouTube does that. So is there, with I think maybe with your channel, if you're, specific kind of catering to people over 60 and you're doing interesting things, that's different. That's like guys smoking
mhm,
the cigar on the porch, kind of different. This, I want to see what this guy's doing. How do you do that? So Anyway, I don't know if there's a question in there, but you've done this a couple times. You've gotten a couple channels. You're making money. You're getting you have sponsors on your
Yeah,
Vegas
and it
channel.
pays for itself.
You know? Yeah. So, what's maybe I don't know. Is there any more that you can say
Sure.
about that? About how to make their videos different, or how to get noticed, something like that?
Well, a couple things to mention. In 2025, they estimate the creator economy is going to be worth 200 billion with a B dollars, and by 2030 it'll be almost 600 billion. So it's exploding, you know. And one of the things I noted end of 2024 is that YouTube is pushing smaller creators because they finally realized that um, smaller creators are producing quality content and people want that content. And so what you're starting to see is if you do a search for something and Mr. Beast did that topic, he'll probably come up at the top of the search, but you're going to get injected in there as well. And it's just a matter of how well your content's doing. One of the things I've noticed is if people start coming back and commenting on your videos that are old, they'll all of a sudden start growing in views because the algorithm realizes, oh, people are interested in this video. Maybe I should push it again. And that's where making your video for evergreen content is really important. What we do is we actually come up with the title and the thumbnail before we even record the video. It kind of sets the vibe for the whole video. Because if you think about it, the title and the thumbnail are your package. That's like, if you were to go to the store and buy oatmeal, it's in a package, and you start to know the brand that you like is this package right here. It looks like this, and the same thing happens on YouTube. People start to see the similar style thumbnail. Your titles are a certain way, and they realize, oh, that's that same guy that I watched previously and I got value out of it. So let me watch another video. And one of the cool things I think about YouTube is that when you're consuming the content, you can start the content and maybe a minute in you're like, this isn't what I was looking for. They lied to me in the title and the thumbnail. I'm out of here. And that actually hurts the creator because if they're messing with you and trying to clickbait you into something, YouTube penalizes them for that because the more people go into the video and then click out, the less they push your video. So my main advice would be make sure your package, so your thumbnail and your title matches what's in the video. If you look at a Mr. Beast video and you look at it on the computer, for instance, and you mouse over the thumbnail, usually that thumbnail is the first scene of the video. So
Mm.
there's continuity. It just goes right into the video and you feel like you're in the place where you belonged because you saw this thumbnail. Hey, that's interesting. Wonder what this video is about. You click on it. It's almost as if that was a still frame capture from the initial part of the video and then it goes right into the video. The other thing I can say is, make sure you're, putting in the right keywords for your videos, do that research ahead of time. But let that let the creative process kind of drive that part. I know some people advise the other way, but my feeling is that when you start letting the SEO dictate the creative side gets less and less creative and more like clinical. And that's when you lose people. I can tell you, like, one of the things we've been doing in our Vegas videos of late is, how they have like those SpongeBob things, 2,000 years later or 2 hours
Yeah.
later. Well,
Oh yeah.
we've been sticking those things into our video. So like we did a video about the MGM and we always laugh because there's a sign outside the MGM that says monorail this way. Yeah, it's a 25-minute walk, like easy from there. But they don't tell you that. So you see tourists all the time wandering around. Where's the monorail? You know? So we put that in the video. We put 20 minutes later, and
Yeah.
when we did a hamburger video, neither of us likes tomatoes. And so there was a tomato graveyard. We made sure the tomato graveyard made it into the video. Those are things that set you apart from other creators in the same niche. So like, you're helping people find business leads. That can be actually a pretty dull topic if you don't handle it with some
Mhm.
personality and some funny, and I think that's important. Inject your personality into your content because in the beginning, people will watch your videos because of what it's about. But as time goes on, they start watching your videos because of you. And if you're boring, that's never going to happen. So you have to spice it up a little bit. I mean, we did a video um outside of T-Mobile Arena, and like I did like this little hardcore dance, and that was the most rewound segment of the video. Just because what is the 60-year-old man doing, in a mosh pit? What is he doing? What the heck? Is he crazy? And maybe I am crazy, but it's what I like to do. So that's my
Yeah,
biggest
that's
piece of
cute.
advice. Just be yourself in your videos.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I love that. Yeah. Like I want to ask you like about your motivations and your why behind this cuz to be honest, I hate talking about business. I hate not like writing about business, writing about marketing is just really boring to me. Like I loathe writing about techniques and tips. Like my favorite thing to do to create content and talk about business is what we're doing right here, is to have a conversation about like our motivations and what we think about things and give opinions. And that stuff to me is just so much more fun. And another thing that I love about YouTube and this channel is just this idea, this ability to feel like I'm really going to be able to help people. Yeah, and really express myself. Like I don't even know if I don't want it to be just a business channel about marketing to drive revenue for me and to find clients. Like I just kind of want to reset everything, because I've got this LinkedIn and I've got followers, I've got an audience, but if I just want to leave it and I just want to start on YouTube and just start making videos that I love. I feel like the business, I mean, it will, I'm going to have hooks and I'm going to talk about business, but it's going to give me the freedom to really say things the way that I want. And I'm going to bring the idea of the market messiah method to it. This idea of having business, but the spiritual and charisma aspect, and how you can be infotaining, and how you can just like really be authentic in your content. And because that's what feels the best. I feel like fuck it, if I'm gonna get, I mean, of course I want business, I want a following, I want to list, I want to sell products, I want to help people, but it's like I just really want to feel like I have a content and channel that's worth something. So, what is that for you? Like, what's been your motivation behind your YouTube channel? Like at that core.
In general, if you look across the 3 channels that I have, it's about helping people. So, like, how does that work? Well, my tech interview show, I'm trying to show tech leaders what's out there. What can they do differently? Do you have to work 100 hours a week, or is it possible to work less than that? Um, Here's some examples of people who've done it. I've interviewed them. If you think it's not possible, how'd they do it? Then they're like the Vegas channel. We're all about budget travel. What's the cheapest place to stay that gives you the most value? And I don't mean like, the ratty motel. I just mean, a decent place, but it's not going to break the bank. And then, of course, my Strings of Life channel is, all about, life after 60. And there's a whole group of people out there that are behind that. But like I'll tell you, like the you're right. Like marketing content, it could be really boring, but you could also make it interesting. One thing I suggest if you haven't done already, like when I was really into photography, there were 2 guys that I watched a lot. One was Peter McKinnon, and one was his good friend Matty Hapuja. And those guys make like vlog style videos while teaching you about some photography concept. And so they show you what's going on in their day. His little Maddie's little kid gets involved in the videos. Peter loves coffee, and so there's always some kind of scene of him grinding up coffee beans and making coffee. He talks about his studio. He loves to start his videos off camera, and so they'll just be like this empty desk, and then all of a sudden he'll walk into the scene. There's just things like that you can do to make your content interesting to people, but still stick to your motivating factors. I mean, obviously, we all need to pay the bills, and so we're not going to do this stuff just to give away free content. But at the same time, if you don't provide value, people are just going to go away. They're not going to really follow you. They're not going to reach out. And it's interesting to me that what you're saying, because you've been really into LinkedIn and like direct message, connecting via direct message. That's a one-to-one connection, you know? What happens on YouTube is more of a one-to-many connection. So there's all these people and they connect with you, the single person that's in that video. And what's different is you don't have a way to, like, poke them and say, "Hey, I did that video and you watched it, but you haven't booked a call." You know, you can't do that with YouTube. So you have to rely on putting out really good content that has an excellent hook in the beginning and a really strong call to action at the end, but without sounding salesy, because people hate that. Um, I find that my why comes through in the hooks. I probably spend, like, on our Vegas videos, if the video total video, maybe it's, say, 15 minutes long, took me about 4 hours to edit, I probably spent an hour and a half just on the first 30 seconds of that video. That's the
Mhm.
most important part of the video for me. And what interestingly happens is once you've come up with your concept for that first 30 seconds, the rest of the video just sort of happens. Like pieces just fall in place. And that's just how the creative process works for me and how I always keep my why in front of me. I had a talk with somebody about spirituality about a month ago, and they kept asking, they kept pushing and pushing. And, I'm not a big believer in a higher power or anything like that. I'm not an atheist, but also not, I'm kind of agnostic, right?
Mhm.
And they kept pushing me like, well, but there has to be something. And I said, well, yeah, community is my higher power. I want to see my community do well. I want to see the people in my community be safe and prosper. That's what I want to see. And um that's what brings me to doing this. I mean, it's why I did when we first started doing our Vegas channel, we just moved to Vegas and we said, "Hey, we're going to go explore all these fun things. Why not capture it on video and show other people that are like us this kind of stuff?" People who couldn't afford to travel if they had to stay at Caesar's Palace and spend, $1,800 a night. Not too many people have that money,
Jeez.
and even if they do, they don't want to spend it. That's the even better part. So just sticking to your why, like figuring out your why and then sticking to it in every piece of content that you make. Asking yourself, should this segment go into this video? Is it really advancing the topic that I have here? Because that's another thing people do. They fill it with fluff, and that's just useless.
Yeah. Yeah. Funny you should say that. I was just kind of thinking in the last 10 seconds, like, oh man, Mike's probably about to end here. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to say next, or I'm going to ask him. I hope I don't want to just fill it with fluff and start rambling.
That's funny.
um, yeah, but
That's what
yeah,
editing is for.
yeah, sure. Yeah, that's what editing's for. Yeah, but I love those moments too because I also thought about that, and I know that's kind of a big fear of like what to say, and am I going to sound dumb? But I like really go with I always remember to just go with my intuition and not think about what I'm going to say next, and just like when I get to that point of okay, I'm going to have to say something, or where am I going to direct this conversation, then I'm just like, well, I'm just going to not think anything. I'm just going to listen, and something is going to come, and then I'm going to be able to talk about it, and then everything's going to be good, just like it's always been all the other times doing something like this. um yeah, so
Well, your
me
your
too, yeah.
process your process for building a LinkedIn post would work really well for building a video because obviously you have to have a hook in the beginning. That's super important. Um,
Yeah.
Talking about what problem they have, that's something you're going to need to do. What's the solution? Having a story in there that tells them how to solve the problem. All of those things suck people in. And, don't be afraid to do little skits or whatnot. Might look silly at first, but people love that stuff because you laid yourself open to them and you were vulnerable. And that's not something that a lot of marketing people do. They kind of sit there in front of a desk with a stiff look on their face, and they're like, "Okay, I'm going to teach you the 3 ways to get people to open your email." We've heard all this before. How about you
Yeah.
give us a different approach, or come up with a different 3 things that help get an email to be opened? teach me how, one of the things that one big thing that I learned from you that has benefited me tremendously for my content creation is to pay attention when I'm reading news or I'm browsing the web to stories that are interesting, speak to a topic that I teach. And so I see all the time leadership issues. I created a little database that I just store the links. And then when I need a story about that, I have a place to go. I remember saying to you all the time, well, how am I supposed to come up with a story? I don't have a story for it. It just kind of evolved, into this. And you're like, then capture stories that you see in movies and on TV and as you're browsing the web. And it really works. I just literally just put out an episode 2 weeks ago of my tech show, and the two people on there wrote a book, Ted Lasso Leadership Guide. And so it's the TV show Ted Lasso, and they use him for the leadership principles. And that video did so well just because of the words Ted Lasso, like it got people
Yeah.
to come. They're like, wow, this is interesting. I never thought of that show in terms of leadership, but it's pretty much what it's all about. And so there's a lot of great stories from there that you can tell. And it really inspired me. I actually went back and started watching the TV show again and started capturing moments from that TV show that were teachable moments towards how to handle your staff, etc. So it's going to upscale my content overall just by, that kind of tip. And you're responsible for that, honestly, 100%. If I hadn't met you and you hadn't told me that, I would have never thought to do that. It's sometimes the most obvious things aren't really that obvious. They're obvious to you, but they're not
Yeah.
obvious to the person that's listening to what you have to say.
Yeah. Yeah, well, those simple things are really tough. Like creating content, right? There's so much out there. Like everyone talks about storytelling, and yeah, we know that we shouldn't create generic content, but then it's like, well, the opposite of generic content is like everything else. So what do you do? But really, what I've learned, what I think, I mean, you're on YouTube. Who you're competing? You're competing with Mr. Beast. You're competing with Diary of a CEO. You're competing with Casey Neistat and whoever that famous cooking channel person is. Like that is who is on somebody's homepage. On the LinkedIn feed is all those people, all the big influencers. They're the ones that are getting paid attention to. So it's like I don't even think that value-based content at all is that big of a deal. I would say be more like 70% entertaining and then pepper in some value there. Like just find a way, yeah, to be different, to be yourself, to talk about the things that you really care about, even if it's not directly related to your business and your marketing. Like find that TV show. Yeah, find that news story and talk about that. I'm really glad you bring this up. Like my I've got a few ideas of how I want to do things, but one thing I've always loved, like I love this style of show where people are talking about current events, and typically it's like a political show. They're talking about Trump did this, Biden did this, Kim Kardashian's butt got 2 inches bigger, like, all these different things that happened. And like that would just be that feels like a nice format that kind of every day you could do a show and you can talk about what's happening. Now, do I want to do that personally? That would be, I don't know, maybe someday, but that is like you're kind of getting, I've realized there you're getting into this world of hype and politics and trending and then sensationalism. I don't know if I want to be there. Like I always feel more comfortable talking about things that are, yeah, more evergreen topics, things that I care about, giving my perspective about that news story, say, not talking about here's what happened. It's, yeah, I mean, hmm. So it can be current, but it doesn't have to be current. Like we can just give I think the more we're giving our opinions about things, the more we're giving our perspective about what's going on, then we can jump onto the trends, still like be relevant, still have endless content and be entertaining.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
exactly, because if so, there's a lady that did a live stream, and she's into like fitness and eating right and that sort of thing, and she taught people how to make a chicken crust pizza live. Now, she didn't get that many people on the live, but the video ended up getting 1 million views in like 3 months. And it was all because like she left in the crazy things, like when she would drop something, and oops, I dropped the ingredient. Oh, the dog just ate it. That kind of stuff. She left it
Mm,
in the video. And people love that because it's just so authentic. Like I said, the guy um that does the videos where he's sitting on his porch smoking a cigar, he didn't actually start out that way. He finally found his success when he started doing that. So, here he was planning out all these crazy videos to teach people things. And what hit was him just sitting in one place, being authentic. And authenticity is the new currency online. If you're not real, people see through that really fast. We talk about people we've met over the years, and like so many people are coaches, and they tell you that, oh, I have the way for you to get to 6, 7 figures. But then you look at their own business and they're not even close to 6 or 7 figures. So, like, are
mm,
you being real? You're not really being real. But see, here's the thing. I think they're afraid to say that they're not at 6 to 7 figures, because why would anyone listen to them? But maybe their market isn't the people who are already at 5 figures. Maybe it's people who are just starting out. And so those people are going to be like, "Wow, you're making $20,000 a month? That's huge to me. Let me learn from you." Versus person who's making $100,000 a month. Their market's different. And what will happen is you grow with it. There's a creator. She actually went crazy and kind of had a mental breakdown and ditched her business, and now she's back. But she's very raw and real. And so she started out, teeny tiny audience. And then over time, as she got better at what she was doing, her audience grew bigger and bigger and bigger. It propelled her income to higher and higher numbers, to the point where she was up to 8 figures and just doing really well. But then she realized that she had done something that she didn't really want to do. And so now here she was stuck trying to put out content all the time. And that's what I think would be the problem with like a daily show, is you'd constantly be chasing trends rather than being able to be like, you know what, I'm going to teach a 4-part series on how to do direct messaging on LinkedIn the right way, the funny way, not I saw your profile and I thought we could collaborate. That's not helpful. That's a funny thing too. From what you've taught me, it's also changed my approach to replying to those DMs. Half of them, I just ignore them. Like, I don't even reply at all. And you'll get the follow up and the follow up and the follow up and the follow up. And then you think to yourself, how entitled are you that you reached out to me at random and I didn't respond to you, but you saw that I saw the message, and then you're going to push me 5 more times? Don't do that. Just don't do that. But the long and short of it all is that if you start out at point A and you keep working and keep working and keep working and keep working, it's just your content's just going to get better and better and better. Your editing gets better. The pace of the content gets better. Your hooks get better. You don't get better if you don't practice. Look at sports. These guys that are at the top of their game, they didn't get there by like stepping out onto the field once. It was a daily grind. But the trending content, once in a while, it's important. But to me, there's just too much work involved in. I
yeah.
tried that once. I wanted to have a news channel and where I would stay up on the current news. Oh my gosh, like the news changes 10 times in a day, and you've got to keep up with that. It starts to become a
Yeah.
job rather than fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you gotta love it. You gotta love that, like creating content. Like those athletes, those ones at the top of the game, they love playing that game. Like they
Mhm.
work so hard. Like they push themselves and they're disciplined and they want to be the best, but they only do it because they love it. It's for the love of the game. It's not for money or fame. Like you can't get to that high of a level for these external things like money and fame. It's all about because you love what you're doing. And content is the same thing. I see so many people fail at content, or they just put out generic garbage content because it's so hard. Because it's so hard to put out good content. And people feel like, I mean, I don't even know if putting out content you don't care about is even better than not doing it at all. I'd almost argue no. But so I think and I just think there's a misconception that you have to put out, yeah, certain stuff. You have to put out certain topics because that's what's going to get you the most success. But like you're saying, I think the content that will give you the most success is just stuff that you care about. Even if it's off topic, off brand, off not having the perfect, headline perfectly targeted for your market. Like, fuck all the business coaches and even marketing coaches like me who are saying you got to make content that's exactly what your market's problems are. It's like, God, it sucks. I've tried that and I've had no more success just creating whatever I want, creating skit videos and saying weird shit in my newsletters than I have really trying to be super focused with my content. I mean, it gets to a level, if you have a big list and you have a big audience and you want to make sales, yes, you do need to be systematic and you do want, there's like all these amazing things that you can say and hit certain trigger points and you can tell stories in a way and you want to have that social proof and have testimonials and case studies and, you want to create urgency and have great copywriting. Like, yeah, that is, there is a space for that, especially with email marketing. But when it comes to content on social, I think there's just so much more room and freedom where you should just be silly and, yes, authentic, say what you want to say, and focus more on that, especially if you're just getting started. Just do it because you love it or you're going to fail. There's no way. You might as well not do it at all.
Yeah, and having fun with it is really important because it also entertains the viewer. And let's be real, even when someone's trying to learn something, they want to be entertained. They want to learn while laughing a little bit. It makes them come back for more. It's just the key to things. Like we watch our competitors here in Vegas, and they're so stiff, and they use like AI generated backdrops and stuff like that. And you look at it and you go, "That's not Vegas." Yeah, I can tell that's not Vegas. Look at that sign. That doesn't even exist here. Um, that's interesting too, because like I've come to the conclusion of late that, for a while I thought AI wasn't useful for anything. Now I think like something like ChatGPT or Gemini, they're really good for idea generation. But more so like we've all sat with someone else and brainstormed. And that's kind of what I use ChatGPT for, is just brainstorming. Like, hey, I have this idea. I want to do this. What do you think? What do you think are like 5 things that people would ask about this? And then it'll start asking questions, and you go, oh, and then there's these other 3 questions that people might ask that I could answer. And then there's these 2 over here that I could answer. So then you have this, all of a sudden you have this list of like 20 questions that need to be answered. Well, perhaps that's 20 videos. Perhaps it's you group them together and it's, 3 videos, whatever. But the idea generation part is great. Just don't let it write your scripts or your content for you, because then you just come off sounding odd. It's never you. You have to be yourself. And if you're not yourself, people figure that out faster than almost anything else. And they won't listen to you, because why would you? If you're not even being authentic in your delivery of your content, how authentic do they think the rest of your, what you're teaching is? Probably not much.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's tough because there's a lot of channels, a lot of people, like a lot of channels that get tons of views and comments and likes and people making all this money, but it is very generic, reading from a script that is, God, yeah, just like the make money stuff. Here's all these different side hustles you can do, and it's like kind of discouraging, or it's tough when you're starting and you're like, is anyone really gonna find me? Is this even worth it? How are these people making so much money, having all of this success? It sounds like they are just saying what everyone else is saying. Do I need to do that? And I don't know, I guess end of the day, I don't know what the answer is, but I just know one thing I'm grateful for, is that I did go against the grain with LinkedIn, in that I can get any business that I need through cold direct outreach. And I have a lot of different methods to do it, whether it's like high volume on LinkedIn or like sending something in the mail to somebody I really want to work with. Like I have ways that I can I can bring in clients without needing to rely on content. So it's given me this freedom where it's like, well, whatever. I just want to create stuff that that I care about and that I'm going to enjoy and that I think is going to help people. I really don't think that you should try to rely on content as a business model, because then you're a slave to it. You're just a slave to chasing the trends, what's going to get the most clicks. Like, you should have a sustainable business besides content, and then use content as a supplement. Your life is just going to be a lot better. You're going to be able to be authentic and then actually create something that, yeah, not only works, but that you love. I think that's pretty huge.
Well, that creator I mentioned that had a nervous breakdown, she was doing that kind of content where she was like picking a topic, being very strict about teaching that topic exactly, like a professional person. And then when she came back, she just started doing videos that she wanted to do and talked about the things that she wanted to talk about in the way she wanted to talk about it. And she approached it like as if she was in a room with people and someone asked her a question. And so she was answering their question just friend to friend. And her content, she lost quite a few subscribers during her hiatus. She was off for a year, but she gained them back and then some with the new approach. And she was literally just saying recently that like she has a sponsor that needed to approve a new video and they were late in approving it. And she said in the past I would have had a heart attack about that because I'm missing my deadline. Now she realizes that the whole point is to get the content out, so people enjoy it. And when you get it out, you get it out. It doesn't matter if it's a day or two late. It's out there. And that's the point. And she had a good time putting it together. And it's not this like generic recycled garbage. It's something new because it's coming from her unique perspective. And I think we all have that. And I think business people forget that they all want to be, I actually just came up with I'm working with my VA on a strategy for getting some bigger names onto my interview show. And she, she was saying things like, oh, offer them a free course. Can you imagine saying to Elon Musk, hey, if you come on my show, I'll give you this course on email marketing? He's going to laugh at me. Like, you kidding? I don't worry about that. I have people I pay to do that. But she didn't get it. But once I got her like dialed into what I was thinking, um we've come up with like a unique approach to get to these people. And that's what I kept telling her: think outside the box. Think you're using it. Almost looks like you googled how do I reach big name influencers and you're following a playbook. We don't want to do that. We want to do it our way, because like Toria always says, I guarantee you, if you use your sarcasm, wit, and intelligence, that's going to make them go, oh, this guy's different from the last one that approached me. Maybe I want to talk to this person. Whereas if you keep, hello, I am here to invite you to come onto my podcast where we talk about technology leadership, you sound like a robot. And they know
Mhm.
this. And they just go, another idiot pitching me. Bye. So I think you're heading in the right direction with that. I think I've read stuff that you write. My God, if you take some of that stuff and turn that into videos, people are going to laugh hysterically. Guarantee you. Just some of the double entendres that you use and stuff like that. It's going to make people wake up and be like, "Whoa, what did he just say?" So, yeah.
Nice. Thanks for saying that, man. Appreciate it. Glad you think so. Um, can you know? Well, as a last thing, you kind of piqued my interest. Could you give us or give me, us, whoever, like a bit of insight on how you're approaching, to these higher level guests, how you're kind of, standing out, getting their attention?
Well, unfortunately, the first part of it is pretty standard. Just engaging with their content. Like making sure that you're
Well,
that you're you're not just making any comment, that you're only commenting on things that are relevant to what you do. And then um, come up with a specific approach for that person, not a generic approach. And so that's like the difficulty in explaining it. But the uniqueness of it all is that the criteria we're using to find the people. Like, I would love it if Elon Musk came on my show, but I'll take the guy that's two steps down from him at X. That doesn't bother me at all, right? because I'm
Yeah.
still getting Elon wisdom mixed in. And that's kind of the thing is I have found that when you interview the CMO at a corporation, all of a sudden the CTO is interested in being on the show and the CEO is interested in being on the show. And
Mm.
you break down that barrier. So our concept is to go after the lower hanging fruit to get to the guys at the top of the tree. And um it's working. I have some active conversations going right now with some sort of medium name people who will get me to the higher name people. And it's it'll up it put it this way, they're when their names are released on the show, people will know who they are and they're going to watch because of that. And that will help drive the higher value tech leader to come onto the show as well. I mean, at least that's the hope. But yeah, no, we're not going to offer any freebies to them to come on or anything like that. That's what people do. Interesting. One of the things I'm hearing these days when I invite people on my show is a lot of people are charging guests to be on the show, and that's counterintuitive to me because I mean they're coming on giving of their time and their knowledge to you so that you have content and you're charging them for that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I do
Mhm.
charge these days for like we put out a lot of promo material. I charge for that package, but they don't have to buy it. They've already given of their time. But what I'm really charging them for is the labor to put the package together. Because of course, again, I've had people say, "Oh, but that was my content." Well, yeah, it was, but you didn't craft it into a quote card. I did. You didn't cut the video up into pieces. I did. You didn't pay
Yeah.
the staff that did all of that. I did. So it's been a mixed bag. Half the people buy the package, half the people don't. But I think the people who do buy it, they don't have a team that can do it for them. So they recognize that there's a cost involved in that, and I don't want to pay it. He did. Let me grab it from him. That's been another source of revenue for me as well. Not huge, but it's growing. And I mean, I think that in the long run, having the strategy in the first place is one step ahead of everybody else because most people, spray and pray, and they throw stuff out there and they hope it sticks. But hopefully, I mean, you're seeing like I'm trying to take a lot of the stuff that I learned during my time working with you and some other people with the YouTube coach and kind of put it all together into a unique package that makes us different. I mean, you mentioned Diary of a CEO. We're trying to change the intro of our show to be a lot like theirs, where there's big text on the screen and it constantly changes. They do interesting stuff. Like if you watch their episodes, the first minute and a half, 2 minutes is actually outtakes from the episode put together to evoke an emotion. And they purposely fade to black before starting the show for that very reason. They want you to kind of go, okay, I got to catch my breath. That was a lot that you
Yeah.
just threw at me. And they have a formula to it. They do a few clips, then a history of the guest, and then a few more clips, and then they'll end with like the host's four best questions, but they don't give you the answers. You have to go and watch the episode to find the answers. So it's a just another way to try to be unique and stand out from the huge crowd. Like you said, I don't even know how many channels are on YouTube, but um, I know that you could probably find out if you thought of a topic, it's probably covered on a YouTube video somewhere. And that tells you how many millions of channels there must be.
Yeah. 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 And yeah, but you don't need that many people, I guess, to be happy,
No.
successful. Yeah, you just need some. I mean, wait. So you need 1,000 before you can. It's like monetization is at like 1,000, right? And a certain amount of like watch
1,000
time.
people, 1,000 subscribers, and 4,000 watch hours. But that's just to get ad revenue. I mean, people
Yeah.
monetize their channel with 200 subscribers by having a product that's good. You know,
Yeah. Right. Yeah. You have a product. Yeah. You can have a link in your description. People can sign up. Yeah. Get on the calls with you. And yeah, for me, when I find somebody I really like, I'm definitely going back. I'm watching all of their videos. I don't care how many subscribers they have. That can have an effect a lot of times, yeah, I'll click on a channel and I'll just see a great thumbnail and a hook, and I don't know how many views the videos had. I just like see it catches my eye. So that's a great thing about YouTube is I love that you informed me of the fact that YouTube's pushing out smaller creators, that's something that they're doing. I mean, but even on the ad revenue side, the reason why it's such a huge pull is YouTube will give out, I think like 40% of this like revenue to the creators, as opposed to X or LinkedIn or whatever, you're getting like, I don't know, 1% or less.
Yeah.
So that's really amazing. But yeah, so so thanks, Mike. I think now's a good time to wrap it up here. But
Yeah. Thanks
yeah,
for having me.
thanks for sharing all the stuff that you did. It was good to talk again, and we definitely got to do it again soon, man, for sure.
Yeah, anytime. Anytime. And I appreciate it. It was a good time.
Yeah, cool, bro. Let's end now.